It's Life FM, Maz for the drive home, and we've recently started this new segment called Building for Life. Let's jump into another one with Jake and Nico from Dornford Building Group. Jake, Nico, how are you guys?
Yeah, doing well. Thank you, Maz. Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, pretty great.
So good to be able to chat building, and if you've got a question for these guys, let us know. 0430 25 1079. Send a text. You can remain anonymous. We would love to hear from you as well. This topic today is a really important one, how to keep costs not just down, but to budget when it comes to building your own home. Your tips around this. Jake, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, well, this is a very good question. We get asked a lot of times.
Is this the number one question you get?
Everything's always
about money.
Budget.
Yeah.
Pricing. Yeah, no, it's a big one. It's a big one. And Nico and I always say you need to have a plan. Like, what do you want to do in the house? What's important to you and the family? Is it a large lounge room? Is it an alfresco, a deck, a kitchen, an ensuite? Whatever it might be.
What is the focus?
You really got to focus on what is it that I want to get done.
Yep.
And unfortunately, as much as it is a bit of a buzzkill on your dream home, being realistic about your budget. Something that you can actually afford and not stretching yourself to the point where it's going to put financial stress on you, financial stress on your family, because that's going to make the whole process unenjoyable, and it's probably going to make the end product unenjoyable as well if you can't afford it.
You almost would start to build a bit of resentment towards, because I understand if people want to, have the best of everything. Of course you do, but the more that you've got on the mortgage, the more the repayments are, the higher the interest rates are. It's going to make life, like you say, unenjoyable, and you won't actually enjoy the space, even if you've got the best of everything.
Yeah, correct.
And especially if you're renovating or extending, like there is just a cost contingency that you don't see in a new home because you're constantly dealing with old to new and you're dealing with unforeseen items. I think we mentioned it in the previous episode, but 10 to 15% contingency is what we advise our clients to have.
Yep.
And if you don't have that contingency, it can quickly become an experience that's very unenjoyable.
Yeah. What would be some pointers you would give to someone who's thinking about building a home when it comes to budget, other than the contingency, which is really important? What else would you say to someone?
I think getting your builder involved early is really important. We alluded to it in some of the previous episodes, but making sure that your builder's there from the beginning, they can help guide the budget decisions. So instead of, putting a more expensive cladding or tap in, they can say, hey, cool, well, your budget's already X, Y, and Z. Why don't we go with this cheaper cost option?
Yeah. So getting that input, because like you guys were saying in another chat we had, that, it's important to have the builder's input because you guys are dealing with this stuff every day, and the average person doesn't recognize what is a good price, what is an overprice, like what is needed, what's recommended, those kinds of things.
And if you know what your budget is, it makes it easier to make some of those decisions.
Yeah.
We talked about prioritizing at the start. If you've prioritized the things that are, truly important and the optional extras are sort of there on the side, it's much easier to cut them and know, okay, cool, hey, these are the things we really want, and then still stick with that budget.
Yeah.
And one thing we get is clients have no idea what things cost. So even just ringing a builder that or want to talk to, just say, hey, I have no idea. Just be honest with them. Say, hey, I have no idea what I can do.
Yeah.
And
Can you help?
Yeah. Can you help me understand a basic square meter rate? Now, I never suggest to go off a square meter rate because every job is so different, but you can go off a generic square meter rate to know, all right, cool, I can design a 50 square meter home, or I can design 20 square meters or whatever it is. And every builder is going to have a different number they can throw out at you. And then one other thing is, with the budget side of things, it's very important to know what you want to spend, because once you know that, you can tell your builder. Now, this is where trust comes into play.
Yeah.
There is a big stigma that builders are going to rip people off. But if we don't know exactly what you want to spend on your project, we can design something so beautiful and it costs you double your budget. And because you never told us your budget, you're then going to have to scale back that plan.
And it bursts the bubble.
And you're not going to love the plan as much as you loved the Rolls-Royce version of it. So we really talk to our clients that, hey, it's so important for us to understand what you want to spend and then to design something to your budget.
Yeah.
Especially during that design phase. I can understand if you've already got plans drawn up, you don't want to tell builders, how much
you've got.
So that
Yeah.
they just put that number in. But if you're designing something from scratch and you don't share a budget with the builder, it makes it very hard to actually
To do it later.
stick to that budget.
Yeah, and it would get awkward the further in
Correct.
you go to then be like, actually, because, and I imagine as a builder, you would also appreciate that information up front.
No,
It makes
correct.
your job easier too.
Yeah, we've had a few clients come to us say we don't have a budget, we don't whatever.
Yeah.
So we design something to exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh,
Actually-
we actually only had 300 and it was coming in at 500. So then we have to scale it back. And then they thought, well, we're just going to wait, save a bit more money. So it is a buzzkill for our clients,
Yeah.
but we've got a process that we estimate all of our concept designs. So if it is out of budget, they either redesign something or we go forward.
Yeah.
So you make that decision early on rather
Yep.
than getting the whole way down the track. And
Yep. That's good advice.
yeah, I think another thing to keep in mind is to make sure that, when you're getting the pricing done, that you're getting a detailed quote and not just an estimate. So a lot of different terminologies and words get flung about, but essentially an estimate is sort of a rough cost. Builders will use square meter rates and they'll say, hey, I think it's going to cost this amount. And a lot of times, especially for people who don't know what they're looking at, they can think that an estimate they received is a quote, and generally
actually not.
It's not.
Yeah. So being
exactly.
really specific about that too,
Correct.
because that has also its own legal kind of stuff
Yeah.
associated with it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And so,
Contracting does.
Yeah.
So a quote is what we would use to put into a contract.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that everything's detailed. We get bills of quantity. We've got prices from all
Yeah.
of our subcontractors. So it does take in excess of 40 plus hours, depending on the job,
Yeah,
to actually
yeah.
do a detailed quote, whilst an estimate you could do pretty quick in a few hours.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there is a big difference between the two to make sure that, everything on that job's been considered, everything put on the plans is in there, and that the client's ultimately getting everything that they want in that quote, to avoid, thousands and thousands of dollars of variations for things that the client thought was already in the price.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, really good advice there, guys. Thank you so much. We're going to catch up with you again. Do we know what we're going to chat about next time?
Well, hopefully the listeners have questions that they can ask us.
Yes, that's it. Text in your questions or your topics, whatever you want some more information on. If you've got a specific question, that would be great. 0430 25 1079 for Nico and Jake from Dornford Building Group. Guys, thank you so much for joining us again,
good.
and we'll
Very
catch up
welcome.
next time.
Sounds great.
Look
Talk
forward
soon.
to it.